guys, how are you? What is going on? You are tuning in to the Deep and Roots podcast, and whether you are joining me for another week or for the first time, my name is Kara Olker, and I am a health and life coach, more specifically a personal power coach. I help you deepen your personal power by uprooting the inherited mindsets designed to keep you hidden. In my practice, we focus on inherited language around thoughts, internal shame around feelings, and external shame around actions that perpetuate the cycle around thoughts and feelings, which is the result of personal relationships, society, and patriarchy. Deep and Roots podcast has been created to give listeners an opportunity to connect how our inherited mindsets can lift up or mess up our personal power. Feeling your feelings, dealing with your feelings, and healing and your feelings. Trusting your gut while you pull away from the noise and get grounded in yourself. Now that is the beginning of taking back your personal power, however you need to, in a way that serves you. So welcome to episode 55. This is an exciting episode for me because there's just one, it's a personal turning point for me in terms of, just immersing myself in Deep and Roots and what that means, what that looks like. And also honoring everything that I've been involved in and that I will continue to be involved in one way or another. And also just constantly being in my own personal power, normalizing that. And so that others can feel like, okay, cool. I kind of want to normalize that within myself, right? Breaking down those barriers of toxicity that we just allow ourselves to be immersed in. And, with it being Women's Month, National Women's Month, I want to make sure, I've mentioned this in other episodes and in other podcasts I've been in, but this includes cis straight women. And it also, Women's Month also includes cis lesbian, bisexual, queer, and intersex women. It includes trans women. And it also includes those who are non-binary and also trans men who are still affected by the stigma of having female reproductive organs. And society is still penning them as women and still stigmatizing, still throwing gender normatives at people. And so the things, the breakthroughs and the hardships that women in general, and especially women who are Black, Latino, or Latinx, right? Asian and indigenous and so forth. There's so many struggles in being policed just for our reproductive organs. So there's policing around that. And so this month is to take time to honor everyone who, endures that struggle for sure. There's so many layers to women and so many different types of, people, humans. And so let's honor all of that. And, that goes into, I definitely want to talk about, let's say gay. Let's say gay. Why say gay? I say that because there's been a lot of legislation lately regarding, females in sports, putting gender on sports, and barring trans women or trans females from going into sports with other females. However, not so much policing or legislature around trans men or trans boys wanting to go into male sports, right? So, and it's hard. You have the Don't Say Gay bill, and from Florida. But did you know in the last couple weeks, especially, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other states that have had anti-trans and ultimately anti-LGBTQIA plus legislature. You have Alabama, Tennessee, Arizona, Alaska, Missouri, Kentucky, Iowa, Indiana, Louisiana, Idaho. And that's a lot. That's a lot of states. And there's obviously fear, misinformation, not knowing, right? Not knowing because you personally aren't in that space to know. The Don't Say Gay bill alone has legislature around how that conversation is put solely between the parent and the child, which is well intended. However, if you don't have supportive parents, then where do you turn to, right? And for me personally, growing up as a bisexual woman and a bisexual girl at the time, I didn't know when I was in 4th grade what I was feeling. I didn't know what that was. But if I would have known sooner, I would have probably would have helped negate a lot of mental health issues, a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of depression, a lot of self-loathing. Would have helped negate all of that. And it would have helped me understand that I didn't have to search for support, that I just deserved it just for being human. And I'm lucky. I am very lucky. There's a huge stigma around bisexuality, and there's a marking of sorts for those who are gay, lesbian, especially trans, and intersex. Chances are you know someone who's intersex, but you don't really know. But that's not something that person should be ashamed about. So this conversation today is not to push things down people's throats, but rather talk about how this fear around people who are not heterosexual, how those heteronormatives are damaging for not only those in the LGBTQIA plus community, but also for those who are heterosexual. So I do want to give some facts though, real quick, because I love facts. You guys know this. And this is from, hold on, I've not been doing my captions, which is fine. I got this off of an article, which, I do like to have like factoids, like, hey, here you go. But it's called 11 Facts of LGBT Life in America. And it's from dosomething.org. And just so you know, and this goes to just the whole scope of, let's put that conversation between parent and child only. 42% of people who are in the LGBTQIA plus community report living in an unwelcoming environment. So if you're not welcomed in that environment, again, who do you turn to? This unfortunately can also turn into abusive relationships and possible sex trafficking. So if you put that conversation, force it between a potentially unnurturing environment, because, parents, parents definitely have, in general, would have ideals of what they would want their child to be a lot of times. I know in my household, there was this idea, right? So if a child is out of that idea, out of that box, that can be very hard, right? You do have a lot of stories of parents being super supportive, but not always. Up to 42%, probably more. And 80% of gay and lesbian youth report severe social isolation. So for me, I could mask it. I could blend in. I could go in between, right? Go in limbo. I'm passing. I identify as queer, bisexual, but I'm passing those who are more on the gay and lesbian spectrum, who, they solely choose to date man as man, or they solely choose to date women as women. That can be very hard and very isolating. And 6 in 10 LGBTQIA plus students report feeling unsafe at school because of their sexual orientation. You can encourage your classmates to accept LGBTQIA plus students by promoting your views on social media. I just read that off the page, but kids are rough on kids. You're trying to fit in. Sometimes that involves sinking the other person so that you fit in and feel comfortable, ostracizing the other person. And that can be very isolating, especially in a time where already this year there have been so many suicides, especially among LGBTQIA plus youth, and especially people who are Black, Hispanic. There's been an increase in crime against the Asian community as well in general. There's just so much going on around, you are not this, you do not fit in this box of cis Caucasian. And so, there's a lot of pressure around that. Throw in being lesbian, gay, queer, bisexual, trans, and it's a whole other mixed bag. And also 90% of teens who are LGBTQIA plus, they come out to their close friends. For me, in my mid-30s, I came out to my friends. I didn't come out to my brother later. It's not that I didn't want to. It's just it just felt natural to talk to my friends about. And then when I did talk to my brother about it, it was just kind of in passing. So I officially came out to him on social media. And then we had that conversation and he was super supportive about it. But 90% come out to their friends. And I want to look more to see, but I'm just looking at the facts. But so I kind of talk about these facts because it is the whole notion of othering versus we are all different, but we're all different together. And that goes into heteronormative ideas that are reinforced by patriarchy that is reinforced in families and society, right? That really take the personal power, like I said earlier, not only for the person who is in the LGBTQIA plus community, but also, you know, heterosexual people who are not for sure. Like, so it's the whole notion of, you know, just because there are people in the LGBTQIA plus community, that does not question your existence. It does not impose against your existence. We've been inundated with gendering and heteronormatives our entire life. I mean, even as kids or as babies, you wear pink or purple if you're a girl, you wear blue and green if you're a boy. And the whole, wearing more neutral colors in the past several years for kids, that has been embraced more, and it should. And it should also, we should also have, like, you're a boy and you want to wear purple or pink, great. A little girl wearing blue jeans, like, that's technically wearing boy colors, right? So it should be encouraged on both sides. And I had a little thingy and it didn't translate. That's fine. But yeah, so going back to that, for those who don't agree with it, it's not yours to agree with. It's yours to respect. Respect lost should be due to character and not due to one's mere existence. Choosing not to respect someone for merely existing is the opposite of kind. And and this is the lack of kindness. Where there is a lack of kindness is hate. Where there is hate is a threat. So when you have this twinge of, I don't know, think about it. What about the LGBTQIA plus community is a threat to you and your truth? And I not only say this for people who are heterosexual, but also to those cis heterosexual, but also to those who are in the LGBTQIA plus community, those who are gay and lesbian and are also like, I don't know about you bisexuals, or misgendering those who are transitioning into transgender, right? I see that with people I know who are gay and lesbian. They misgender all the time. It's like, I just have to walk away because it's like, we of all people should be super cautious and conscious about gendering properly. You're non-binary, great. What are your preferred pronouns? Or sometimes people do prefer, she and they, he and they. And just knowing that is super important. And it, again, goes back to, what about the LGBTQIA plus community is a threat to you and your truth? Now insert gay with Black, Hispanic, Asian, differently abled, elderly, etc. How does that sit with you? For everything that any twinge you have of like, any quote unquote deemed negative emotion, insert gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, intersex. Again, with Black, Hispanic, Asian, differently abled, elderly. And that's where your bias is. Understanding our biases means understanding what destroys us and essentially what destroys society as we know it. And, it goes back to heteronormative stereotypes. Which ones do you carry with you on a daily basis? It's so normalized, we don't even know it. Again, going back to colors, symbols, clothing, cuts. I saw this post a couple of days ago where they were highlighting the fact that people were marketing, non-binary clothing, but they made it in women's and men's cuts, like, and just understanding the whole notion of non-binary is super important. So it should be unisex or something, right? Not men or women non-binary cuts. Like, that doesn't make sense. And also, let's go back to our sayings too. Be strong like a man. You hit like a girl, or others such as don't be such a pussy, or get you some balls, why don't you? This masculation, emasculation towards men, and then over feminization of women, or stripping the femininity around women because they don't fit a certain type. So all this plays into personal power. And what I want to say is, when you are feeling triggered around this, look within yourself, your heteronormatives, and what that brings up. Does that bring up shame? Does that bring up anger? Whether you're the one, being feeling attacked around all of this, because right now it is a difficult time seeing all this anti-LGBTQIA plus legislature around, meant to protect heterosexual children and people in general. However, that means that they need to be protected from LGBTQIA plus children and people, it perpetuates the notion that we're somehow predators. So, and this is something that, you really can't think your way out of. Like, sometimes that really is fact, that notion, that stereotype projected on you, right? For me as a bisexual, people just think that I'm just like, just dating everybody all the time and multiple people all at once, and that I'm just confused, and that it's just a phase, and I'm over here reading my book, drinking coffee alone by myself, living the animal lady life, right? And so it's understanding where that shame comes from when you feel attacked by these, very hard accusations, these very hard stereotypes. And then on the other end, why do you feel anyone who has an issue with that, why do you feel that that is attacking your personal power? So it goes back to acknowledging your feelings around it, identifying your feelings, and then choosing other feelings to go along with it. So that also comes with understanding and education. I highly encourage, if you have biases of your own, to do a lot of reading. I want to mention, it seems very cliche, but it truly is a good resource. They have resources on how to literally think about specific groups throughout the LGBTQIA plus community. So like this is the full profile of a lesbian, and there's like so many different profiles. And they have one on bisexuality, and it talks about all these specific terms and all these different layers to it, which is beautiful. So I highly encourage you, and this is my episode of, or the website of the week. I highly encourage you go to glad.org and really look at the information and really look at your biases, not so much of like proof or information as uncovering your own biases. A lot of times when we think things, we have a lot of feelings around them. So what are your feelings around this? And this is something that on both sides of the issue, it requires a lot of self-care and a lot of grace for yourself and willingness to just want to learn and understand ourselves and how our heteronormative beliefs we project onto others and ourselves affect others and ourselves. And I think I'm getting comments here, but I'm not for sure because I can't really see it. And so if you've commented, I appreciate you so much. And if there are no comments, that is completely fine. Everyone has been run ragged from the 24-hour marathon last week that went on for LLS's Man and Woman of the Year. Tim Sohn, he is a candidate for a Man and Woman of the Year. And so we did a 24-hour live stream marathon around that. And he's currently raising money through May. And if you want to donate, I don't have it here. Do I? Yes, I do. I encourage you to go on perspectivesoncancer.com. And oh my gosh. I thought I transferred a lot of links on here, but I didn't, which is completely fine. I also want to add, if you are in the Durham, North Carolina area, or if you want to go to the Durham, North Carolina area, there is a gaming tournament that my dear friend Jatovi McDuffie is putting on. It's a gaming tournament, and all the proceeds go to the American Cancer Society. And this is happening next month, end of April, but he needs teams set up now. So if you're a gamer and you are in the area or want to take a road trip, visit gamersversuscancereast.org and sign up there. I think he needs like 15 more teams signed up. So please, please, please sign up for a good cause. And to game, I mean, who doesn't love that? So, but yeah, so I'm just kind of talking alone in my space this week. It's a good space to be in terms of just stripping everything down and focusing on deepening roots, going back to my roots, which I also want to add though too, when people talk about, this person's pushing their sexuality on me. It goes back to the heteronormative stereotypes that are pushed from a very young age that don't involve sexuality. it involves preferences, lifestyle preferences, life personality preferences. And I want to let you know, I want to make sure that this is said in this episode too, that the same applies to my nose is running. The same applies to the LGBTQIA plus community as well. Queer is an identity. It's part of it is sexuality for sure, but it's also an identity. When I identify as queer, it means that I put myself in a category that is more androgynous. And I feel more androgynous. Like I'm wearing women's clothing, yet they're more masculine in my approach. I mean, even now I'm wearing ripped jeans and I'm gonna put on some loafers and go to the coffee shop after this, you know? And also it just means just the whole preference of just being interested in all of it. You know, the whole notion of quote unquote tomboy. I mean, it doesn't automatically just mean that you're just this tomboy heterosexual or that you're just headed to being a lesbian. It just means that we are like, there's just this whole spectrum of everyone is just their own person and they have different personalities. As a bisexual, one thing that I learned is a lot of bisexuals are actually ambidextrous, which makes sense because if we are attracted to both male and female, like we use both hands to, I don't know, open pickle jars and open doors and maybe read or write or play sports, right? And I know that sounds ridiculous if you haven't really heard about that before or heard of that before, like really. But it just means that each space that you are in, it just opens up for little parts of your personalities, maybe stereotypes, but also just a way to identify. It really does go just back to a way to identify. So I encourage you to open your heart to yourself if you're in the community, and open your heart to yourself and others who are in the community if you are not in the community. And just take your time to know that you are safe regardless. And others' opinions are hurtful. And that's okay that they're hurtful, but you are still you. You are still you. So if you want to talk more or learn more about that, defining your personal power and these hard spaces, especially if you're struggling, either coming out or you're out and you're still struggling, please talk to me. Please reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn by typing in my name, Kara Olker. You can also find me on Instagram at Deepened Roots. And I'm also getting my website up as well. Oh, you can also find me on Twitter and Twitch at Deepened Roots. And if you want to listen to my other podcasts, you can find me on Apple and Google Podcasts. So I just want to thank you, all of you, for just watching, listening today. I know that for some of you, it is super heavy. This conversation's super heavy. And for others, it's super necessary and maybe super cathartic. So please reach out. Please talk to me. Please let me know how you're feeling. And I love you all. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week for sure. Whatever space you're in, make sure to ground yourself, set boundaries around that. Really take time to simply be. Because regardless of everything out there hitting you all at once, especially with this legislature, regardless, you are enough. Bye, guys. I love you.